testimony and his strategies on gaining wealth. But what was really important is he also lost. It was a point of time in his life where he lost everything and built it back up. And I'm going to pause there just to say that you got to realize that if God be for you, even though you may slip here or lose here, God will give it back to you 100-fold. This man has lost everything, and then he went on to rebuild his business. But the most beautiful thing that he made me understand coming out of that weekend with him is he really stressed the fact that we are only stewards. We're only stewards. God has blessed you with financial freedom. He's blessed you with anything you have. You're a steward of it. You don't own it. That's what stewardship means, is that I'm just given the responsibility to manage this. I don't own it. God has blessed me with this finances, this money, to be a blessing to others, to be a blessing to his kingdom. I don't own it. So the first thing we do when we gain it, we got to ask God, okay, now what is it that you want me to do with this? That's the first thing. Yeah, I know you want to go get that Corvette. You want to go get that, Mercedes. You want to go get all these material things. The first thing you should do is ask God, why? What is the purpose of you blessing me with this? Many of us, as I scan this audience, man, we're first generations college graduates, first generation just trying to build that wealth. We didn't get things passed down to us. So this journey will be, a little bit more difficult for us. But you all, the opportunities that's sitting in front of you guys, it's endless. I will continue to say this throughout my talking is you got to keep God first. You have to keep God first. My own testimony. Let's talk about that a little bit. I believe every person is born with a gift from God. Jeremiah tells us that before we was formed in our mother's womb, he knew us. So you have to, first of all, go to the Creator and ask the Creator, why was I created? There's a divine purpose that God created each and every one of us. And although we have a will and we have a choice, and we may grow up saying, I'm going to, play in the NBA. All right, I'm the only one. And then he didn't gift me with the physical talent in order to achieve that. Okay, God, I'm disappointed now. Like, what was up with that? I thought we had a will. I willed to play in the NBA. But until I went to him and I sincerely seeked him and asked him, what do you want me to do? So you want me to do this thing called hospitality. What does that mean? When I finally found my gift of hospitality, serving, and just caring for people, I have to embrace that. And from that, everything just kind of happened, right? So I think a lot of times, guys, we may have a great idea. We may, just want to do something that, I just love to do this. But if God is not calling you to do it, are we really going to gain sustainable wealth? You may be successful. Success and wealth is a totally different thing. You can be successful at something and not be wealthy at it. So that's two totally different things. Once I figured out that, okay, God, this is me, I'm going to settle in, because no part of my childhood was about hospitality. Being the youngest of my family, all brothers, I did what whole bunch of boys do. We was in the streets. We chased girls and sold drugs and did all that stuff. I joined the military, traveled the world, experienced life. But when it was time for me to settle down, I had to go to God. So I started my career, and not like you think. I didn't start with a white jacket on, with a big hat on, with my name on my jacket. I started in the dish pit, washing dishes, 12 hours a day, scrubbing pots and pans as big as a speaker. That was my job. My job was not to talk back. My job was just to say, yes, chef. That's how I started. It's important to know that nobody is going to applaud you during rehearsal. They applaud you when you perform. I'm performing now, so I got applauded, right? I get news channels calling me. You want to put me on the newspaper? You want to do all this stuff? This is the easy part right here, guys. The hard part was when I was scrubbing dishes, pots and pans, 12 hours a day, cutting 50-pound bag of onions consistently. Nobody knew my name. But if I wasn't consistent then, I wouldn't be here now. If I didn't put my time in then, I wouldn't be here now. Many of you want to take the elevator to success. You got to take the stairs, baby. There's no elevator to wealth. There isn't. Get that out of your head. You can't just boom and all of a sudden be wealthy. I don't care if even in the stock market, if you dabble in the stock market, you can't just hit it big. You got to constantly check on your stocks. Oh, I'm going to move my money from here. I'm going to put it over here. Oh, I lost that. I'm going to do this. It's no easy way. Stop thinking it's easy. There's no elevator to the top floor in this thing called life. There's stairs. There's stairs. What I love about a stairwell, though, they have platforms along the way where you can rest. You go up a little bit, you rest. You go up a little bit, you rest. But the thing is, you keep moving. You keep moving. Even if you feel like you got to sit down and rest a little bit, it's okay. It's okay. So one of these times, I'm fortunate enough, I open up a hotel, and I'm a dishwasher, and I moved to, wanting to be a line cook, and I started asking all these questions like, hey man, what are you doing? And I had this little book, and I would write down everything the guys told me. I wasn't privileged enough to even speak with the chef because I was down here, but I was hungry. I wanted more. I felt like, okay, here, the little bit of thing I knew about God, he was calling me to be more, do more. So I started asking questions. I was starting, as Pastor Solandra said last night, I started studying. I was studying my craft. I started reading cookbooks. I started watching cooking shows. I started watching the guys on the line and say, wow, if he can do that, I can do that. So as time went on, the guys would go outside, take a smoke break. I would sneak over into the section. I would start looking at all their food, right? What are they doing? And I was very, very inquisitive. And then I started asking them to show me. I would hurry up, wash all my dishes, cut my 50-pound bag of onions, and then I would run over there. Hey, I'm done. Can you show me? Can I just hang out with you? And they would start teaching me little things at a time. And I would write things down. What are you doing to this chicken? Oh, well, this is called Ballantine. Well, what is that? Well, that's when you debone it and you stuff it with a forced meat, and oh man, that's exciting. I don't have the skills to do it yet, but let me write it down. Let me write it down. So I did this, and then all of a sudden, somebody leaves the job, and I said, send me, pick me, I can do that. here I am, volunteered myself to do a job that I wasn't getting paid for. Had to prove it. When I could do it, and I did it consistently. Then we sat down and they gave me a little, pay raise and all of that stuff. So now I'm operating as a cook. Be careful who you entertain, because you may be entertaining an angel. I'm cooking, I'm doing my thing, and I'm just being nice to the people that come in and eat. And lo and behold, one of those people, beautiful couple, would come into this hotel quite often. And I was just nice to him. I was just nice. Hey, how you guys doing? Nice to see you again. I didn't know he was a producer in LA at Warner Brothers Studio, the head producer for the Jamie Foxx show. I had no idea who he was. But time after time when he would come into this hotel, I was just being nice, doing my job of being nice. Well, one of those times he asked me, he said, hey, have you ever, cooked in someone's home? I was like, no, not really. He said, I'm having a party. I want you to come and cook for me, my wife, and our guests. Absolutely, I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Time go on. He didn't call me the next day. He didn't call me the next week. He didn't call me the next month. Months go by before I even see him again. But he saw me. He said, hey, now let's plan that. Now by now I'm on the line. I'm cooking. I'm feeling myself. I got a little, I can flip a little bit. I can do a little something. I can chop, but I can do a little something. So I said, yes, sir, not knowing who he was, not knowing anything about this man, nor his wife. He said, okay, well, I live in L.A. At this time, I'm in Bakersfield, California. I'm like, wow, L.A., okay, no big deal. So he sends me the address, and I plan it. I drive up, and this beautiful, beautiful home. I was like, wow, this is great. So I walk into the man's house. He said, hey, there's the kitchen. Stores down the corner. Just do whatever you want to do. We're just going to be hanging out. This is great. So I do this dinner for them. And they had their friends, and they had a great time. I get on the freeway. I go back down to Bakersfield. So about 8 months, I'm going to say a year. My time frame is a long time ago, so I'm maybe missing on that. He asked me, he said, hey, I need a chef for this project I'm doing. Like, I'm not a chef, just a cook. He said, yeah, well, come over next Thursday. You think you can do this for, about 80 people? That's huge. If I can do this for 80 people, but sure, I'll do it. He said, yeah, I'll have some people there to help you. So I drive up. The address is Warner Brothers Studios. Now, I don't know nothing about Warner Brothers Studios. I just get to the gate. I tell the man who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing. He lets me in. He gives me a pass. It must be good. I get a pass. I put it in my window. I drive in. I go to this big stage, and it's a whole production studio. And I walk on set, and now I'm cooking for the Jamie Foxx show. And the next thing you know, I become this repeat cook for this show. And as it so happens to be, it leads from that to this, to this, to this. And now I become a chef for several shows, Moesha's show, Jamie Foxx show, The Parker show, the Wayans brothers, several of these shows, and I just bounce from one to the other, and I'm just cooking, albeit 1 day, 2 days a week. It's not consistent, but it gets my name out there. And then I start doing private events for them. So you would think that I would be happy at that point, right? You would think that, okay, he's arrived, he's done it, he's there. In Hollywood, there's a whole lot of temptation. Because I thought I was good, my walk with my God suffered. Because I'm good now. I see it's Jamie, man. What's up, Jamie? Hey, good, man. Hey, Chef, you gonna come over to the house today? Yeah, man, we're gonna hang out. Yeah, okay. Man, I'm hanging with Jamie Foxx. We cool. I'm it. I'm there. To hang around those guys, I wasn't strong enough not to do what they wasn't doing. So now they drinking, they womanizing, I'm drinking, I'm womanizing. I thought I was it. I thought I'd arrived. But the emptiness inside, it couldn't be filled by money. It couldn't even be filled by, quote unquote, the homies, the stars, the celebrities. And then it came, every February, I'm going to say, if they're still doing it, they go on hiatus. Hiatus is when they stop doing shows and they run reruns in Hollywood. So Hollywood basically shut down after award shows. So this one February, man, they went on hiatus. And I was like, whew, I got to get my life straight, man. It's like, man, I don't even know what this is about, bro. I just left. I decided not to go back to Hollywood. I decided to get a job working at a prison, North Kern Prison in Delano, California. I started working at the prison, I started working at the prison because I needed a switch. Wasn't making the money, didn't get the glamour. It was totally different. But I had to reconnect. I had to. Because where I was personally and all that, even though the fame was great, the money was good, hanging with, you name a person of caliber back in that day, that I was there, right? Doing parties at all these people homes, from Mark Wahlberg to, like I said, Jamie Foxx, Kobe Bryant back in the day. You name it. I was, Moesha, Brandy, Moesha, all of that. So, but I had to take a step back because I didn't love Jesus no more. I loved that life. And I was really deteriorating. So let's fast forward, right? So now, okay, got my little walk back. I'm trying to be saved, and I move up to this place called Sacramento, California. It's a fresh start. I get a job, local restaurant there. And that's where I met my wife now at the restaurant. And one of the first things I said to her, I said, I need you to take a trip with me. And we got on a plane, and I called Mr. Daly up. I said, hey, Mr. Daly, Chef Q. He said, what's up, Chef? He said, you coming back? I said, I want to come visit. I got her on the plane with me. We flew, Shabu was with us. We flew to LA, and we went to the set of the Parker show because I wanted her to see I can have this life. We can make a lot of money. It's a question of like this. We went to the Parker show. They stopped production. They came up. Everybody was saying, hello, Chef, you back? Oh, my God. All of this. And I looked at her, my then fiance. Fiance? Then? Yeah. And I said, can I do this? Because we can make a lot of money. I said, I can have all of them. Literally, I said something like eating out of my hands. And she said, let me pray about it. Talking about a praying woman with you. She said, let me pray about it. Back in the day, this is before this, but Kurt Franklin tried to get a TV show. I don't know if you guys ever knew that. He tried to get a TV show. I was a chef on his show. He had everybody coming in. It was back in the days of Stomp. I know y'all remember that song. But yeah, anyway. So I asked her, because now we're on production, on studio, and I said, I can do this. And he even sent me to a building. It was an ABC building, 20-story building. It was a restaurant in the bottom. He said, Chef, we'll give you this. And I said, let me get back to you, Mr. Daly. And sometime between when we left LA to a few days later, she said to me, she says, no, I don't think God wants you to do that right now. She said something of the nature is, he has his blessing for you. Just be patient. Called Mr. Daly back, said, unfortunately, I can't. Hurt me. Killed me, because I wanted to be back in that limelight. Who doesn't? Oh, you act like you don't want your name in lights? I wanted it, right? But I trusted the praying woman of God that God had put beside me, and like, okay, not yet. Called him up. No, sir, can't do it. He says, change your mind, let me know. So now I'm working at this place called Real City Cafe, and she goes to me, she goes, hey, you should stop, do your own thing. I'm considered, I guess, a workaholic. I love working. I love, what I do. I love it. So I'm working there in 6 years. I think I've probably taken 2 days off, 6, 7 years. Just love what I do. She goes, you could do your own thing. People come here before you. So we ended up working it out. I leave the job. After 6, 7 years, I leave the job, making great money. I mean, I was making really good money, meaning when I negotiated my deal, because that's where I was, I negotiated my own pay. I sat down with him. I said, look, you're going to pay me this base salary. I love that. Thank you very much. But you're going to pay me a percentage of your profits because I know my worth. I know my value. So I was at a point to where I was just living off my bonus. My money went into the bank. And, so that was cool. But she was like, we're going to, you should just quit and do this. So I quit the job, took 6 months out, and I built my brand. Many of you want to start something when you don't even have a brand. You have an idea, but you don't have a brand. So I took 6 months out, I built my brand. What is the name going to be? How's it going to look? What's the logo going to be? What's the business plan going to be? What's my forecast going to be? What are my comps? What are my numbers? Do I know my numbers? Do you know your numbers? If you sell T-shirts, do you know your numbers? And your numbers is not how much you sell your T-shirts for. Your numbers are what we call cost of goods, COG. Do you know that? Do you add in your shipping costs? When you build a business, it's not just about how much money you make. It is your cost. We took 6 months, and 6 months before I could even do anything, because that's how much I had to put into it. And we launched, and we did what they call a trade show. And when we got out, we had to, obviously, you got to get your license. You got to do all of this, depending on what business you're in, seller's permits, all these things. Because when we launched, we went to this first trade show. It was a line wrapped longer than any other booth, so much so to all the other vendors started reporting me, telling the licensing people that I wasn't legal. So they would come over to my booth, show me your paperwork. Absolutely. Show me your insurance, because you have to have an aggravated insurance of $1 million policy just to be in the show. But since we was black, we did a little extra. We had a $10 million policy, right? Because you want to cover yourself. So we started getting reported like we wasn't real, we wasn't legit. Come over, we had all our paperwork in order. Talk about your paperwork, be in order. Don't just haphazardly just like, oh, I'm going to do this and, have your stuff together. So we showed them, and they left us alone. And finally they said, well, there's a lot of people out here don't like you because I guess you're still in their business. So let's move on. So we start doing this. We start catering. We start doing this. And God started opening doors to millionaires in the local area. And then one day out of the blue, I get a phone call from a gentleman that I never met. He says, hey, I just looked you up in the yellow pages, and I want to know if you want to do federal contracts. What are federal contracts? I don't know what those are. So when he told me the name, I quickly said, let me Google it. Let me look this up. Let me see what this is about. So I figured out what it was, and the man flew in from out of town. We sat down and we met. He gave me the rundown. And I said, absolutely. I'll do it. So here's the deal. And this is when you know your gift. And I learned a long time ago that learn your craft on someone else's dollar. Whatever you want to do, there's somebody out there doing it. Jump in their back pocket, learn it, and then you can achieve it. So this man was doing federal contracting, and I was like, absolutely, I'll be your subcontractor. So I did that for several years. And this man would go out, bid on a federal contract. He would get awarded that contract, and then he would pay me to go work that contract. Absolutely. So I did that until I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to bid on my own. So I got my DUNS number, and I became legit. I got on the list, and I started bidding for these federal contracts. I was proud. First one I won, San Francisco Bay. We was at the shipyard. We was to cater on a U.S. vessel for 14 days. 14 days. My bid to the federal contract was $45,000 for 14 days of work. Absolutely, I'll do it. For 14 days of work, I made $45,000. Do the math. That's way over $1,000 a day. All right? That wasn't even the best. We did such a great job that we bidded on bigger ones. We bidded on bigger and better jobs. There was one in, King's something, way out in the jungle. They was training troops to go back over to Afghanistan, and they needed it built. They needed a caterer, and I was like, yeah, I'll bid on it. It was 3,000 troops for 3 square meals a day. And I did the numbers, I crunched the numbers, I did the math, and we went there, and we had to even rent a tent. Our tent was 80,000 square feet. We had to rent 2,000 chairs. Water cost me $10,000 a day to get delivered in a water truck. It was a humongous deal. The bid, well over $500,000. No, I'm sorry, $250,000. It was $360-some thousand for a month. Okay. Now, let's get into this. Whenever you do this sort of volume, all eyes are on you. Every T needs to be dotted, every I needs to be crossed. So this is a federal government. So we had federal governments, federal people coming down looking at every single thing we did, like paperwork, and everything had to be in order, and all of this stuff, man. And of course, we had it all legit, all in line, but that was an undertaking. Like, that wore us out. That was tough. Tough. Sometimes we want the big paycheck, but we don't want to put in the work. Sometimes we just gonna sign that paper and we just gonna haphazard our way through it. Eventually, I got to the point to where I subcontracted someone else. It was in Missouri. It was ROJT, one of those little military camps. So I won the bid, flew to Missouri. I had 10 caterers that I interviewed. They all came to the hotel or whatever it was where I was at. I picked the caterer. I said, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a day. You're going to cater this. I'm going to fly back to California, and I'll come back midway to check on you. It was a great business move. That's what I did. I hired him, paid him $1,000 a day. He catered it. I came back home, and I put my feet up with my wife. 14 days later, I fly back out there, check on everything. Everything is good. You good? You doing what you're supposed to do? I'm going back to California. I'll give you the rest of your money when you're done. He made $1,000 a day to do that. If he made $1,000 a day, how much do you think I made? That's my point, right? Just being in business for yourself is not just, all about money. It's business, all right? So NBA, I love the NBA. I love the old school NBA. Charles Barkley, Moses Malone, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Kevin Johnson, old school. These guys had talent. They had crazy, crazy talent. But I'm going to say they didn't know the business of the NBA the way the guys today do. Steph Curry, LeBron James. These guys, they more operate in the business. So what am I saying? I'm saying many of us out here, we operate off of talent, but we don't know the business that we're in. If you're in the t-shirt business, where are you getting your t-shirts from? Oh, I don't know. I just order them off of Amazon. What I would do, I would fly to the manufacturer who makes them, and I would go negotiate my prices. Yeah, you got to spend money to make money. The first, and I'll get here and then I'll open it up. Let me just say this and I'll open it up. In the book of Romans, it talks about all these gifts of God. Prophet, teacher, all these gifts, right? My favorite gift is the gift of giving. And in Romans, it talks about having a gift of giving. My spiritual father, who's gone on to be with the Lord, was Dr. Miles Monroe. And he told me that it's possible to have this gift, just ask God for it. So I did. So everything that I do is 10% first go to the kingdom of God. What does that mean? My business pay tithes. You pay your tithes from the check you get, but the business pays tithes. 10% of everything that we make at our restaurant right now goes to tithe. And if more people did that, the kingdom wouldn't suffer. More people did that. If your t-shirt business, your shoe shining business, if you just paid your tithe on that, God's going to supernaturally bless you back and fold. But you're so content with just to pay tithe off of the money of your pocket. What about your business? Your business can suffer. But if your business pays tithes, God's going to honor that business even before he honors you. That's very important. I'm running out of time, but questions. Anybody got questions?
We have 5 minutes for questions. So.
First, I want to say thank you, Elder Q, for...
Stand up.
Right here. Michaela, just wanted to say thank you, Elder Q, for just sharing your time with us. I would say as a young adult in working through student loan debt, just like being a slave to the lender and how burdensome that can feel at the same time of actually building a business. I was wondering if you can kind of speak to the wisdom of that.
So first of all, just whatever payment plan you're on for your student loans, stay there, be consistent, because that will affect your credit, right? Yes. And when you're building a business, they first need that guarantor. That guarantor is you. Until you can get that EIN number, that DUNS number to have that business have its own credit, you are it. So you don't want to mess up your credit, because that really is going to be that launching pad. Unless you got some people dumping money into your business, right now you're it. You're the investment. You have to invest in you and your business. So as you're paying your student loans, stay consistent with that, but then you have to invest in you, meaning learn your business, like I just said, like read books, whatever. Business plans, we haven't talked about that. Guys, if you don't have a business plan for your business, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Business plan keeps you on track. I have written 7 to 10 business plans. It keeps you on track. And then when you're growing your business, be realistic. Be realistic. You know, I like to grow my business in a 3, 5, and a 10-year fold, but I'm being really realistic when I do that. I'm not trying to, take everybody's business. It's impossible. So be realistic, and that's the thing about us, guys. We got to be realistic when we build our business. You're not gonna take everybody's business. You're not gonna sell everybody. Everybody's not gonna wear your T-shirt. Everybody's not gonna wear your branded clothing. So be realistic. Do you know your demographics? Do you know your crowd? Who's your audience? Who's your audience? If you got a brick and mortar, how much money do the people around your business make? 2, 5, and 10-mile radius. How much money do they make? Then I could tell you their average disposable income. And then I can really build you a formula that can generate to you your forecast. If you don't have a forecast going into business, what are you doing? Got to have your costs, got to have your forecast. We have another question up here.
Can I know you well, fine, but can I add to his story about, because I want to break it down how simple it is. When he opened his first restaurant, the community, it was a whole bunch of restaurants. And so we sat there for a week. We went in the afternoon to see what the lunch crowd was like, and then we went in the evening to see what the dinner crowd was like. And we sat back to back so that we wouldn't miss the people coming, and we literally took a chart and wrote every restaurant that was in that area, and we stroke count how many people were going in there. And we did it for the afternoon to see, was it gonna be worth us to open lunch? And we did it in the evening to see, is it worth us opening dinner? And we stroke count, that restaurant got 10 people today, that one got, and we did that for a week. And then he came up with a formula to say, okay, then I only need these many people to come in our place to make it profitable for us. So at the time, he said, God, all I need is 100 people, 75 people a day. That was what he said. Lord, that's all I need, and I'll be able to make my budget or whatever. And needless to say, God exceeded that, and we ended up doing 150 people a day. But that comes from the mind of sowing. So I wanted to break that down. So, because sometimes we think we need like some sort of AI to break it down for when it's something so simple as you doing your own stroke count, putting it together. And then he created the whole menu knowing that in our demographic, the average household was like 150,000. That's what they made. So he made his menu cost something affordable that I know they can afford. That same menu won't work on the south side. It's too expensive. Do you see what I'm saying? Not in this community, but it works in that community. So I just wanted to give a breakdown of it, because to let them know how easily you did that.
Thank you for that. Bill, just real quick. So again, no, my prices won't work over here because the demographics wouldn't support that, right? But me knowing, right, that community will support those prices, then if I can get, I don't know, let's use a fictitious number. If I can get $200 for this steak, why not charge it, right? But if I was over here and I can only get 75, I'll charge 75. But if I'm over there and I can get 200, why would I charge 75? Right? So knowing your demographics really, really matter. You don't know your target audience, you're not going to be successful. You're going to be shooting at the moon. You're going to be everywhere, all over the board. If you have a health product, who's your demographics? For people in the gym or for people that's trying to lose weight? What's your demographics? Who are you targeting? Question, yeah.
Unfortunately, we only have time for one more question. So after this question, if you do have questions, please write them down. Please see Elder Q after this, because we do have to transition. So, question.
Hi, I'm Jokia. I just wanted to know what was like the golden, like what's the golden rule, the golden nugget of being wealthy? And then, like, how can you get educated to be financially ready to start a business?
It's a great question, Yukia. I don't think there's a golden rule for wealth, right? Wealth is it's perspective. My wealth may not be your wealth, and your wealth may not be his wealth, and vice versa, right? It's perspective. So I don't think there's a golden rule about it. But as far as, getting ready to start a business, you have a concept, you have an idea, I would say start there. If you look at many entrepreneurs or business gurus, they'll first say, if you can solve a problem with a product, you're halfway there. Do you have a product? Do you have a solution to solve something or make something better? So you can start there. I didn't have a solution for that, right? I jumped into a already busy field with very small marginal numbers, meaning that you don't get rich opening a restaurant, right? That's not the concept. I opened a restaurant for the passion of serving others and passion of food. Supernaturally, God has blessed it because I believe it's because we first gave God the honor of paying tithe with the restaurant. I think God looked down on that because really quickly, I know you guys are rushing, but really quickly, when I submitted my business plan to my first landlord, I was super proud of my business plan. Super proud of my business plan, right? This guy looked at it. I think we had $25,000 put down on this, bro. That's some money to me, right? I was happy. He looked at it. He said, this is nice. He looked at it and he closed it. He said, well, I deal with big money. He said, you know that Sheraton Hotel? I own that. I'm part owner of the Sacramento Kings. I do this and I'm this and I got buildings all over. Like, now you're feeling about this small because you put your best foot forward. And this man just like, But then he turned to me, Joe Kid, and he said, but it's something about you. He said, I like this thing because I had my kids with me. He said, I like this family thing. And he said, I don't even know if you can cook. He said, I don't even know if you can cook. He says, but I want you to live your dream. This man handed me the keys to a building without a lease, without a credit check. He gave me the keys and walked out. He said, my son or someone will be contacting you. We'll work out the details. 2 months later, 3 months later, we finally get the lease in the mail. 3 months. I'm operating. I want you to understand, I'm operating without a cost. I've already been given a fully functional restaurant. I'm operating without a cost. On top of that, the night he gave me the keys, I fell to my knees. I started crying. Glory. I started crying. Then I said, I looked at my wife. I said, now I need to get in contact with this one realtor. She sells high-end homes in the area. She knows everybody with money. I looked out the door, and she was standing outside in the parking lot. I go outside, and I call her name. I said, Permise. She said, Chef, what are you doing here? I said, I think I'm a restaurant owner now. She came inside. She said, Chef, this is perfect. Can I bring 100 women here in 3 weeks? I said, absolutely, Permise. 110 women she brought in a matter of 2 weeks. From there, God just kept it going. I'm talking about when you believe in God. You write a business plan. Many of us write our business plan for us. Try writing it for God. Try writing your business plan for God, honoring God all the way through it, praying all the way through it. After we open our restaurant, and I will close with this, a couple weeks later, COVID hit. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to pivot. COVID hit. The world is shutting down. We were in an area, they said you can still do family to-go food. So what does that mean? I looked at my wife, I said, well, we're gonna serve the first responders. Free of charge. Spend money to make money. Free of charge. This is gonna come back and it's gonna help us. Free of charge. We sent food to the local hospitals just to say thank you for being on the front line. When restaurants started opening, we had a line outside of our restaurant of nurses, doctors, patients that was in the hospital, just to say, we saw you. When I looked out, we was opening our doors, we was like 30 minutes to open our doors, I looked out and I said to somebody, I said, why are all those people out there? They looked at me and they said, they're waiting to come into your restaurant, fool. I was like, oh my God. 75 people is what I asked God for. God blessed me with over 200 on the weekends, over 150 during the day. When you put God first, he will give you exceedingly and abundantly over what you ask or think. God will do it.
Amen. Thank you so much, Chef Q. Everyone, please stand and give him a round of applause. This is the father of our house. This is the elder of our house. We are so humbled to be underneath your servitude, so we thank you so much.